Don't give society too much power. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and I just re-recorded this podcast because I got 8 minutes in. I didn't like the first ramble. But let's talk about why we shouldn't give society too much power. Because mostly, guys, society, as the Gen Z kids would say, it's just not that deep, right? You live in the United States. Generally speaking, you can walk out your door and not fear that the society police are going to show up and tell you to do something. If you did nothing but look at internet videos all day, you would absolutely 100% think that society was just going to spend most of the day trying to rip you apart and tell you not to be who you are. Let's dispel some myths and rumors right away. No, society isn't. There are no society representatives running around telling people what to do, what to dress, what to wear. There are advertisers, certainly, but advertisers respond to market demand. They shape market demand as well, but they respond to market demand, largely. Just don't give society the power. Who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? Now, there are some things that we do. Now, there are some things that are like, societal norms that we do care about. For example, it is agreed upon that we follow the rule of law. That is a societal norm. But Nick, that's actually laws. Those are actually enforced. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Do you get pulled over every time you speed? No. But generally speaking, when you speed within a safe range. That is a societal norm that is good to follow. But don't you get mad when that guy goes 110 miles an hour past you on the 101? Doesn't that tick you off a little? It should. He's breaking a societal norm. Those societal norms are very good to follow, and they're enforced, and those are actually enforced by the police. But who you are, what you want to do, who you want to be, those aren't enforced by society. If I walked out the door today with long hair and a big-ass bull ring through my nose, might get a couple weird looks, but nobody's gonna walk up to me and say, "Excuse me, society requires you to cut your hair." No. Most likely, 99% of people are gonna go, well, I guess if it floats his boat, his long-haired, bull-ringed boat. The point being, you can't give too much power to society, right? In some cases, you should follow society's norms, but those are in cases where you would be a danger to others. The general rule, people, and the best way to think about anything in society is that you have the right to swing your fist until it reaches someone else's face. You have the right to swing your fist until you reaches someone else's face. Meaning, you have free exercise of all of your rights until you infringe on the right of someone else. Now, a couple things to keep in mind with that. Speech. I'm going to disagree with a lot of the folks. Speech is never violence. It's not. It just is never violence. Asking questions is never violence. It's not. How else are you supposed to get information? You can't learn if you don't ask questions. And you can't ask questions if you're constantly afraid of asking the wrong question. You have to ask the wrong question sometimes. And yes, if you ask an offensive question, you should be told that's offensive. But it's not violence. The reason you have to have the risk of being offensive is to allow yourself to learn. And if you continue to be an offensive prick, it lets people know to stay away from you. Now, granted, speech with action or calls to action, those are slightly different, but those are also classified under the law, typically. And the arguments go back and forth on those. But if you see somebody and you simply ask a question, just ask the question. Society isn't demanding that you don't ask the question. Also, when we say society is not that powerful, There's not a secret cabal of Christians in your town trying to chase you down. There's not. No group is a monolith, and no group runs as a police unit, except the police. And if people are operating as a hateful group or they're doing something, number one, if they're not infringing on your day and they're just standing in a group and being hateful, you just gotta ignore them. They spray paint your shit, then, that's vandalism. You can arrest them for that. And there are hate crime laws too, I suppose. So, if they spray paint nasty things on your Jewish synagogue, as they did over the weekend where Jake Tapper went to school, yeah, that's a vicious, vicious crime. But it's not society. It's them. It's those people. You have to stop writing broad rules based on the actions of individuals or groups. Granted, individuals and groups can be mean. They can be a-holes. They can be dimwits. Anything you can imagine. But they're not society, and that goes in both directions. Yesterday was the Transgender Day of Visibility, as it has been for the past, I think, since 2019. It was also Easter Sunday. Now, the White House certainly dropped the ball in terms of how they announced the Transgender Day of Visibility this year. They do it every year, but they dropped the ball in how they had talked about it. Because it was a chance to really have a nice unifying statement, and instead they said, they announced the Transgender Day of Visibility, and then they basically, as an afterthought, were like, oh, I guess Easter is today too, suppose. Look, one has a lot more to do with the nation writ large than the other does. Right? But society wasn't running around and saying oh, we have to overpower the Christians. Society wasn't doing that. In fact, I don't think the White House was doing that. I think the White House was just bad at PR. And based on the PR, Christians got a little ticked off and overreacted. But again, Christians writ large are not trying to squash transgender people. Certain Christians might be, just as certain transgender people might not like Christianity. Individuals in each group have different feelings, but the groups writ large are not at odds with each other. The individuals within the group, certain members of those individuals, they might be at odds with each other. I don't know. I haven't talked to every single individual Christian and every single individual transgender person. There's not some great society meetings that are happening where it's well, we're going to embrace them and we're going to put them down. It's not how it works. Cultural norms develop over time, and it's almost all economic. It's almost all in response to market pressures, right? The 1950s suburban housewife trope came about because of market pressures. That was it. You want to go way back, and people aren't going to like this one. Even the transatlantic slave trade was a reaction to market pressures. It was a need for labor in the New World. It was a cruel, horrible, and horrific need for labor in the New World. Should it have been done? No, it shouldn't have been done. But slavery also shouldn't have been done in the Roman Empire. It shouldn't have been done pre-Roman Empire. It shouldn't have been done in the Mongolian Empire. It shouldn't have been done in China. It shouldn't have been done in India. It shouldn't have been done anywhere else around the world. It shouldn't have been done in Ireland. It shouldn't have been done in England. It shouldn't have been done in France. It shouldn't have been a thing. But those cultural norms changed over time due to market pressures demanding more equality. Market pressures for more equality, generally speaking, are a good thing. But stop fighting with the straw man that is society. Just get up every day, make the best choice for yourself, touch grass, maybe get a workout in. And when you see somebody swinging their fist into somebody else's face, say something. And if they're not hurting anybody, let them spin in darkness and yell into the void on their own. Get off Twitter. It's much healthier that way. Anyways, I'm out of time. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.